friends. Today we're going to have our live exploring breaking news. What happens when IRS agents become ICE agents? We're going to be exploring this new development and talk about the consequences of the new policies set up by the Trump administration. Welcome to my show. My name is Alina Sheltsova. I'm a New York immigration attorney. I've been practicing immigration law for about 16 years now. And on my social media channels, I frequently hold these live shows where I answer your guys' questions and share the most recent immigration news. So thank you very much for joining. Please like and share this live. Send your hearts. If you're watching me on TikTok, don't forget to like and share. If you're watching me on YouTube and Facebook, we're going to talk about this extremely important new development in ICE enforcement related to the fact that DHS is requesting IRS help now for immigration enforcement purposes. Jokingly, about a week or two ago, when we learned that FBI was joining ICE and providing intelligence, thank you very much, guys, for your gifts on TikTok, I mentioned that imagine if they will ask IRS for help. And of course, they will be able to find everyone this way. And now it seems it is happening. DHS is requesting that IRS agents are going to join the enforcement. This news came out today about a couple hours ago, was published by Fox News. And of course, it is worth discussing because if IRS is going to join the enforcement, it's obvious that they're probably going to be providing intelligent assistance as well, meaning that it's going to be very easy for them to get to the ICE records of everybody who thought that was doing the right thing and paid taxes, either by using their old social security numbers or by using ITN numbers, which is tax numbers that people receive who cannot receive social security numbers, right? And this is the craze behind it. I have to tell you, we've never seen anything like this before. Here is the confirmation that in addition to use IRS agents, Department of Homeland Security is also going to be asking IRS to help locating employers who are hiring people without documents. And of course, they're phrasing it, saying that they're going to be fighting these huge crimes. But we all know what's coming. They're going to be using IRS filings in order to determine who is hiring who, where those people are, by reconciling records between ICE and IRS. IRS has records related to employees or contractors' addresses, home addresses, family members, every dependent that you ever claimed, who lives where, that's IRS may furnish that information to ICE. So it seems that that's exactly what's going to happen. And we are obviously at the beginning of this journey. We're going to see how exactly it's going to all be implemented. I have to say that in 16 years, I've never seen anything like that. We've always been advising clients that it was safe to pay taxes. Not only it was safe to pay taxes, it was required for various forms of immigration reliefs, especially in court. Judges would routinely ask you if you were paying taxes, filing taxes rather, and they would request that you produce copies of those tax returns and you produce copies of your tax transcripts. Now, with announcement of this policy, I can imagine that many immigrants will be unwilling to file taxes with the updated addresses. And the funny part is this policy was announced right at the time when immigrants and everybody else in the United States is supposed to be filing their taxes. I do not know. Maybe the plan is for people exactly not to get this taxes filed. I have no idea, guys. But this is a huge shift in the policy, huge shift in enforcement, and it's a huge, huge news that, of course, you all have to be aware of, and you need to take that into consideration when you are handling your affairs in the United States. Obviously, it's something that we cannot escape. In the United States, there is a joke that IRS agents are the ones that you cannot escape. And it seems that now, once they have two hats on, they become ICE agents as well. This is just becoming a very, very troublesome trend. All I can tell you, right? You share your thoughts, what you think about this development, please. Yes, guys, you can ask me questions, absolutely. Please type them up in the comments, and after I'm done presenting some other pieces of news, I will be happy to engage with you in this discussion and answer your guys' questions. Another important thing that I wanted to share with you relates to sanctuary cities, and specifically to the great city of New York. You know that New York has always been in favor of immigrants, has always been a place where immigrants felt safe. During the first Trump administration, New York did not give up its idea of issuing driver's licenses to undocumented. Still are doing it, right? In fact, New York City developed their own ID for undocumented so that you guys who reside in New York City were able to use New York City facilities without the fear of being marked as illegal immigrants. But now there is a huge shift in policy. Mayor Adams had a meeting with top commissioners and specifically told them not to interfere with immigration enforcement. What's the point of sanctuary city then if the local authorities will not be able to interfere and help you out? So this is what it became. The good news is that the local authorities, at least in New York City, are still not directly assisting ICE, which is a huge difference, guys. In certain states, local authorities explicitly stated that they will be carrying out operations on behalf of the ICE, not in New York City, but they will not be protecting you either. And just about a minute ago, I was watching a little update from New York school office, New York City school office, where the spokesperson stated that their position as to the ICE enforcement has not changed, and they will not be allowing ICE agents without a warrant on their premises. Because I think this is one of the most painful subjects. It involves kids, and we're seeing that immigrant kids are missing school. They're not showing up to school, according to some teachers, because they're afraid that they will be picked up or their parents will be picked up. And of course, it's a very fearful time. It's a huge shift in policy for New York City and something that you need to know about. If you're in doubt, if you're still not sure as to your rights, what you can file for in case you are detained, please consult with an attorney. Right? Consult with an attorney in private. Ask questions here as much as I can. I will help you out. Now, let's talk about your issues, your questions. Thank you guys very much for joining. Please share this stream, and we're going to proceed. Hi, Lamara. Nice to see you. Hi, Susie from Connecticut. Hi, Mr. Patel. Thank you for joining again. Hi, Rashad. What about the 4-category plan of Donald Trump? Honestly, I have not seen any announcements for today. I know that generally speaking, Trump is not in favor of F4 category and wanted to eliminate it the first time around. But again, I'm not going to be telling you that there is anything specific happening at this very moment with the category of sponsorship for brothers and sisters, the siblings. Okay. All right. Yes, the truth is outside. So people will stop filing taxes. It seems to be a good idea. Well, I guess that's exactly what's going to happen. I cannot imagine that somebody who knows that their address is going to be shared with ICE will be willing to risk it and will be filing taxes this season unless they've done it already. So it's the whole thing is pretty much crazy. We're going to see what's going to happen with all of this, but maybe there will be some special announcement by IRS saying that they will not be sharing this information. But so far, it surely looks like they will be cooperative because the idea behind the whole enforcement is that all federal agencies are going to be working as one, focusing specifically on immigration enforcement. All right. Hi, Rashad. Should we carry our green card every time when going outside of the house? This is the law, Rashad. You must, under the law, carry your green card. There is no law like that for those who are US citizens. As a US citizen, you do not need to carry the proof of your citizenship. But there is a law for the green card holders saying that you must. And it's actually a crime if you don't. Again, in 16 years practicing in the United States, I've never seen a single person charged with this crime, with this violation. But we live in crazy times, and I would recommend you to carry with you a copy of your card rather than the actual card. Okay, I think it's kind of risky to carry actual card because you can be robbed. You play, sometimes you find yourself in not good circumstances. It can be damaged, it can be lost, it can be stolen from you, right? And it takes sometimes years to get that replaced. So again, I cannot imagine anybody willingly carrying the card on a subway, New York City subway every day. I wouldn't be doing that. But get yourself a copy at least. I think that would be a big help in case of the encounter with ICE. And again, encounter with ICE, remember, guys, it's not necessarily that it's going to be legal in terms of they can't just approach you because you look like an immigrant and ask you for your documents. So that by itself is illegal to do. But if you are at workplace and there is authorized raid, and sometimes they can show up at your workplace under certain circumstances. They have a warrant, they have I-9 inspection. They can do it. And here you are there without your green card. And you tell them that you're a green card holder, but you don't have any proof. You don't remember your alien number because who, frankly, would remember it? They can grab you until they verify your identity. I don't think it's necessary for you to go through that. For that reason, I advise people to actually have proof of their status, okay? Have with them their receipts for filing. It's a great idea to be a hero in every situation, but this is not the situation. If you have something pending, if you have a green card, if you have citizenship, think about your family and stress that you're going to be going through if you're just going to make a point. And this is your choice if you do. I totally understand. But me visiting jails from time to time, visiting clients, I'm going to tell you, those are not happy places to be in. Even if you get stuck there only for 24 hours, I would avoid it if I had an opportunity, okay? Not nice places, be that state jails or federal jails, not places for working people to be in, totally not. Do you think there is any chance of a DREAM Act to be introduced soon to protect those that came here young? Absolutely, there is always a chance. Now, Democrats have a great chance of pushing for immigration reform, pointing out all the cruelty that this wave of enforcement is enjoying all the terrible, terrifying things that are happening. People cannot sleep. I get these messages from clients who are either they already have status, or they are in the process of getting status, and they tell me, Alina, I cannot sleep. I'm afraid they're going to come in after my kid. They're going to take my family away, and this and that. So this is the momentum that Republicans who understand that this is not benefiting the society, and Democrats should be using, screaming for immigration reform, screaming for it, gathering people, advocating for it. So far, I have not seen much effort, except for one demonstration one rally in LA. Maybe I'm just not aware of other efforts. I signed up to go to advocate for immigrants this coming April. I do not know if they choose me because I go every year. Hopefully, they will give me an opportunity to do this again. National Day of Action in Washington, D.C., when immigration lawyers come to advocate for immigration reform. So I definitely going to do my share with the first opportunity, but other people should do this too, because this is the time to do it, okay? This is the time. Now, guys, I'm going to turn to you, very patient and generous TikTokers, because I have tons of questions and I hate when I miss your questions. I know you hate it too. Thank you guys very much for your gifts. Please like and share this stream. Hi, Tanu. Is it safe to travel if I have 10 years green card? You should be absolutely fine, provided that you received it lawfully and you do not have any criminal arrests or charges. All right. Let me see. Din, 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 din. We have more questions. Hi, Jessica Cruz. I have appeal with the Board of Immigration Appeals since August 2024. But this month, my wife is a U.S. citizen. Did I-130? Wait, the question got cut off. All right, if you have a major development in your situation, and that development may help you to fix your status, adjust your status, you absolutely have to discuss with your attorney and perhaps file a motion for remand at the immigration with the Board of Immigration Appeals. Okay. You think I'll have time for USS approved my I-130 petition before my asylum appeals gets denied? I do not know if they will have time, but you can ask for them to expedite. Ask your attorney to speak with the government to try to have that request for expedition of your I-130 to be filed. I know that they can do it. As a matter of policy, they may say they will not anymore, but I know it's possible. So just try to push them a little bit gently, okay? Everybody's like in immigration is super overwhelmed and stressed out. So it's hard to deal with issues the way we used to. Like you used to just email the government attorney and ask them, hey, this is what's happening. And now I'm sure that's super overwhelmed because they do not know what's happening. Nobody knows what's happening. Every day I get new updates from the courts. Something changes every day. Hearings started being rescheduled. I don't know why. Perhaps because the government is going to prioritize cases of the people who entered recently. So they're pushing all the cases further, but we'll see if it's going to be the general trend or just happened to a couple of my cases. I don't know yet. Hey, do you know anything about parole in place for other situations on the I-131? I'm not sure what other situations you're referring to, but so far there is an advice, a practice advisory stating that unless you are a person who entered or was going rather to enter the United States on U4U, parole for Venezuela, Nicaragua, Cuba, Haiti, your I-131 form I-512 is not affected. You can still use it, okay? So why don't you show it to a lawyer and ask them, has anything changed for me? Am I safe to travel, to use it, okay? I sent I-765 over 40 days ago with no receipt notice. What would you recommend to do? Have a mail tracking number, see if the form was delivered, and then just wait for a little bit longer. Okay, sometimes they do take the time issuing those receipts, especially if you filed asking for a fee waiver. Any update on religious immigrant visa? No, not really. Right. Is there any risk for who petitioned his wife with a green card holder? If there is any risk for people who petition their wives or for people who were petitioned by the green card holder? So the person still cannot adjust because the spouse is still a green card holder? Is that the question? But I-130 was filed? Well, technically, if the person is without status, they may be subject to enforcement. But here is the thing. If you're subject for enforcement, you know that potentially you may be placed in removal proceedings. Having a pending I-130, especially if your spouse is on their way of becoming a citizen, is better than not having anything. Trust me, okay? So I don't think they're going to go after you just because I-130 was filed. And I think it was the right thing to file it, okay? My asylum is pending since 2016. I have been filing tax returns every year. I have EAD and Social Security. Guys, if you have asylum pending, either affirmatively or you are in court, if you're already in court, they can't do anything to you unless you commit a crime because you are already in removal proceedings. And the way it works, you have to see the judge, and the judge has to make determination on your deportation issue. And only after the judge makes such a determination, saying, okay, so and so, your ordered removed, then you will be subject to physical removal unless you file an appeal with the Board of Immigration Appeals. Now, if you have a pending asylum with USCIS office, you already have something pending. You're technically in authorized stay, and you can even receive real ID, which will be temporary, but it will be a real ID. So you should be fine again, unless for some particular funny reason you will be placed on expedited removal if you're here just very recently, less than 2 years, right? And they will terminate your asylum with asylum office, and then they will place you in expedited removal. But there you also can express fear of coming back. So I just don't see how it will be possible to deport somebody without a hearing if they have asylum pending. And if you do have a hearing, this is the way the process works. You have a hearing, and if the judge determines you don't qualify for asylum, you can appeal the determination, but that's the process. So guys, you're already in the process, in other words, all right? I wouldn't really worry much. Just stay away from criminal charges, okay? That's a big thing. All right, let me see. Dun, 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 dun. My I-929F was sent to Department of State. How long until I get NVC case number? Within two weeks to maybe months, usually. All right. They work pretty fast, usually. What if the green card is expired? You have to file for as a citizenship or renew it. You have to have okay, if the green card is expired, it doesn't mean your status expired, but you do need to have an expired green card for travel purposes and very often for employment verification purposes. So why don't you file for an extension? You can file online, okay? All right. Same because, okay. Can they deport you if you have deferred protection CAT? Not until the judge rules otherwise. If the judge already gave you deferred protection, right, for them to enforce the removal order against you, they have to revoke that protection first. All right. Okay. Let me see. I have gotten receipts for our like 3 months now, but I haven't had anything yet. Is it normal? Were you called for your fingerprints? You were supposed to be called for your fingerprints within the first months, usually, unless they could reuse your fingerprints from before. I would say you should be fine because you did get the receipts, and then you just have to wait for either being called for your fingerprints or you're going to just receive your work permit. All right. That's what's supposed to happen to you. Guys, immigration lawyers do not send invitation letters for the visas. I have this request all the time. Oh, can you sponsor me? No, I cannot sponsor anybody. I only provide services helping you with visas that you are filing. I'm not submitting any invitations before the government for you. That's not how it works, okay? All right. Rashad, is it a good idea to carry real ID instead of a green card? Rashad, if you have a green card, you have to carry it by law. Okay, so now is not the time to like mess with it. Just have a copy of your green card, put it in your pocket next to your ID. Real ID is used for federal purposes when you want to travel, when you want to travel using planes or have access to federal buildings. When you don't want to use that, you don't have to have it. But having a green card serves a different purpose. It actually proves your immigration status, okay? Real ID, it signifies that you have immigration status, that you are authorized here, but it may be given to somebody who doesn't have a green card, okay? So that's how it works. Sometimes, if you have real ID, you may still be placed in removal proceedings. For example, you received a real ID because you have asylum pending, affirmative asylum pending, but nothing prevents that officer from placing you in removal proceedings, skipping that interview. There is no law punishing them for that. Okay? So I think you should stick with your green card. And of course, have your real ID because you probably are driving and you will need to have the driver's license on you when you drive. All right. Hi, HPP. Hello, Alina. Applied for initial ID receipt notice received January 15th for pending asylum. When to expect a work permit? Well, I do not know if it's going to be approved, but it will be approved. You should expect it within like 40 days usually. Okay, pretty fast. How is IRS became ICE? By the order of the president, I guess. DHS requested it, and I'm sure it's going to become the reality. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, requests that IRS joins ICE enforcement. They stated that they need them in order to find employers, and they need them for enforcement purposes in general, and in order to find employers who are what they call harboring illegal aliens, providing work to people without status in the United States. Hi, Tamuna. We have work permits already 10 years. Still, there is a chance for deportation. It depends on how you receive that work permit. If you have any solid status, or you just have a work permit and something is pending, sure. Guys, until you become a US citizen, even if you're a green card holder, there is a chance for deportation under certain situations. Green card holder may lose their status due to criminal charges, due to mistakes at the time when the green card was issued, or they stay out of the United States for too long. So green card holder is not 100% proof from deportation proceedings. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you. And if you do not have any violations and everything was lawful and legal, you don't need to be afraid of the enforcement, okay? But if we look at the scale of the strongest status is a US born citizen. Nobody can deport those people, well, except for, it seems, President Trump in case of people who are hardened criminals who he's planning on deporting to El Salvador and Guatemala. Actually, you may lose your US citizenship even if you were born in the United States for some very heavy crimes against the country, like espionage. Okay. I've never seen a person losing citizenship like that. Usually, what happens is that, God forbid, a person is guilty of something like that, they will face severe federal penalties, criminal penalties. I don't even want to speak about them. I think you got me. I was discussing those penalties the last time. So the person probably is not going to see the day when the government, and if the government would want to take their citizenship away. Next, we have naturalized citizens, people who were born in other places but received citizenship in the process of naturalization. We have those next. Usually it's very difficult to impossible to lose citizenship unless there were defects during the process of naturalization or the process of obtaining the green card. Person obtained the green card and later citizenship unlawfully, or person that's pretty much encompasses everything, but or there was a mistake. The person, again, it's going to be covered by this unlawfulness, right? There are specific situations when it happens. There are tons of videos online about that, who can be denaturalized. I think I have a video about this too. For example, there was a mistake during the green card process. Person became the green card holder when they were not supposed to, either because the person misrepresented themselves or some facts, or USCIS made a mistake. A mistake during citizenship process also happens. Usually things like that. Or there was a crime that the person committed while they were a green card holder and before they became a citizen, but they got convicted after they became a citizen. Then you also may be placed in denaturalization proceedings and lose your naturalization. Okay? So as long as everything was lawful, you didn't misrepresent yourself, you didn't create any stories in support of your asylum case, you didn't conceal your previous marriages, you didn't use different names when you were filing for green cards or citizenship, or different dates of birth. Happens too. Some people use different dates of birth, guys. Then you should be fine. If you are worried, super worried, something happened, you are afraid that there was a mistake done, please consult with an attorney. I've been consulting people all week long, people like freaking out, and they say, oh, I'm afraid my green card was issued in error. We said, calm down, let's look at your paperwork. And it was not an error. Everything was fine. And the person finally was able to breathe and relax, right? It's also important sometimes, just take a moment, consult with an attorney, and then it gives you peace of mind when you understand that everything is fine with your case. You're not going to be deported. You're fine. It's very stressful. I have to tell you, it's extremely stressful time right now. I get that, totally get that. All right, hi, the truth is outside. Is it possible to change the TPS to asylum, even if you passed 1 year period? You're not changing TPS to asylum, you're filing for asylum. What's going to happen with 1 year deadline? If you maintained TPS status, but then it's ended, like it's going to happen for people from Venezuela, they are allowed to file for asylum within reasonable time once they lose their TPS status, and they will be forgiven for missing the deadline. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Right. Hierarchy reform is needed, but enforcement is a must. In the 70s, 80s, and 90s, there was amnesty, yet unauthorized immigration continued. But I do agree reform is needed. I don't think that it's possible to eradicate unauthorized immigration completely. There will always be people who will believe that they will benefit from not abiding the laws. Either they will believe it's too expensive for them to do that, or they will believe it's too long for them to do that, or they will just say, I was careless. I didn't care what's going to happen to me, right? But we should also look at the percentages of people and benefits for the society. When are we going to benefit more? When people are happier, when they're filing taxes, when they're developing communities because they know they have stable employment and stable life in the United States, when they stop sending monies overseas because they know they're going to be retiring in the United States, or when they're terrified and they're constantly planning on like living in two places at once and they're siphoning all their earnings somewhere else and not investing here. I'm not the smartest thing on the block. I'm sure in the government there are many smart people. They can figure it out. There are surveys and decades of experience, right? The question is, if we know that the reform is needed, why it's not done? Who is responsible for that? And how come it's just not being accomplished? That's an interesting question, don't you think? Hi, reading guy in New York. What will IRS do about illegal immigrants? Well, I guess IRS agents are going to go in the streets and try to catch people. That's what I'm thinking. And they're also going to go through the records of small and medium-sized businesses because this is the businesses that are targeted first. And they will see the filings, how they file the taxes, who they claimed as the workers, and things like that. Thus, I would predict what they can do. All right. All right. Let me see. I have gotten receipts for VAWA like 3 months ago, but never happened yet. We discussed that. You just need to be patient. I think you'll be fine. Is advanced parole safe to do now? It's leaving the country. Generally speaking, for 99% of people, yes. Do you have any idea how many decades we've heard them speak on immigration reform? I have an idea. Yes, I do. I have actually a very good idea. The last time true immigration reform was passed was when they extended the Life Protection Act in 1991. No, it was like Clinton was there. It was 1999, I think, when they stated that until April 30th, 2001, you will be able to use the 245I exception. All right. Any update on religious workers? No, guys. Can you use your privates for identification? I don't think so. I don't think so, guys. Thank you, Mr. Rhythm, for the rose. Listen, we all want to do something crazy, something, to show the attitude. But let me give you general advice. It's not that you have to be afraid. Absolutely not. You need to know your rights. As I told you, you have to print them up and you have to have them on you. So if you're in a stressful situation, you can read them up, right? Your consents, especially, you have to understand that many times the officers cannot search you, they cannot stop you, detain you, or approach you unless you give them consent. All right? They say, may I? And this is when you listen to the question and you have to react and say, oh, no, you can't. Okay, I do not consent. If they have the warrant and it's signed by the judge, they may enter your dwelling, the place, the private place where you're at, your house. If they have a warrant signed by the judge, they may enter private places at work. If they have a warrant signed by us, they can arrest you in public places because they can approach you, okay? But I wouldn't recommend showing your private parts to them. I think it may go terribly wrong. Hi, Don writes, I have been trying to get my wife into the United States to see my mother before she dies. I'm so sorry to hear that. And it's probably been very challenging, right? When you're trying to do everything the right way, it takes just forever. Is it safe to travel on a conditional green card? Yes, it should be safe, right? I submitted T visa case in August. When do I expect a receipt? Oh my, McDonald, you were supposed to receive that receipt a long time ago. You know what may happen? Check whose safe address was used on the forms. This is the person who received that receipt. It could have been your attorney, okay? It could have been your attorney who received that receipt. Anything for people with withholding or removal, are we safe? I have a special video about that. I answer this question every single time. Guys, if you have withholding or removal, you should be safe unless the judge orders for that order of removal to be revoked. All right, withholding, I'm sorry, order of withholding to be revoked. There is a process for that, but I just don't see it's happening anytime soon for anybody. I have a brother who's in prison. He has 10-year green card and 2 autism kids. He was put on a what? The question got cut off. I'm sorry, the question got cut off. On the removal proceedings, is there any way? Okay, I see. Is there any way he can fight? All right, so he's a green card already. I guess if he's placed in removal proceedings, usually it's due to criminal charges. We need to know what those charges are. We need to know when he received his green card and how soon after he got arrested, because that will tell me if he can qualify for cancellation of removal for permanent residence, if he may file for readjustment of status with a waiver, if his conviction potentially allows him to do that. Maybe there is something else you can file for. I just do not know. But consult with an attorney, share all the relevant facts, and they will be able to tell you if he is able to qualify for any relief. Generally speaking, the hardest case that we may receive is for somebody who has aggravated felony. Okay, those the cases are the hardest. There is usually only one way to fight it. It's with a 212H waiver, but that aggravated felony has to be also a crime of moral turpitude for this to work. And the person who received the green card should have received it in the United States for adjustment of status and not through coming through the border. So the process is kind of complex. It involves complex legal analysis. It also may slightly differ from state to state because of the local litigation, but that's what it takes to answer your question, all right? Whether or not somebody can get defense if they are in removal proceedings. Let me see if we have more questions on YouTube. Hi, Tamuna. Also, criminal is different. Only high-risk criminals is deporting. Well, they're focusing on people with felonies, of course, but high-risk criminals, like in Raleigh Act, guys, shoplifting is subjecting you to mandatory detention. So I wouldn't say that only people with heavy criminal convictions are going to be deported. Sometimes they pick up kids, sometimes they pick up, I said kids, it's true. Sometimes they pick up people with no criminal convictions. Those are collateral, detainers. They detain people who just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they also don't have status like a green card. So I cannot tell you that they're focusing only on people with criminal convictions, heavy criminal convictions. Anybody they can grab. I think they have a quota, even though Tom Homan said that they don't have a quota, but he discussed that 1,500 per day is not enough. So where are they going to get so many people? If I was them, I would be grabbing anybody. That's what they're doing to meet the quota, okay? Or meet the threshold, I guess. Let's not call it a quota, threshold of when they believe they're doing great. Hi, Dawa. If someone has passed cancellation or removal, how long is the wait till green card? And until then, what can the person do now? The person cannot do anything except for enjoying their work permit. Why? Because they're still in removal proceedings. That's how it works. But it's about 4 years now that you have to wait before you're going to receive your green card if the judge indicated that your cancellation or removal application will be granted. Now, you better hope that that qualifying relative of yours is not going to age out, because now there is a huge issue that will be decided soon, perhaps, whether or not you will still qualify for cancellation or removal if your kid who you used to qualify for it is aging out. It's an extremely important question. Now I'm going to answer one last question for tonight. All right. I have driver's license in another state and live in another state. Is it a problem that I should worry? Generally speaking, for the enforcement purposes, it may be a problem, because if you're driving in certain states with driver's license from other states, like in Florida, they can really, I think they can give you a fine for that and even arrest you. If I'm not mistaken, there is a local law in Florida. I do not know if it's stopped or not from enforcement, but it's hard for me to comment on all possible issues with that. But hear me out. For immigration purposes, you have to provide your physical address to USCIS within 10 days of moving. Okay? So you have address A where you live. This is the address you have to give them. When you file for that license, you submit an application to the local DMV, I think under penalties of perjury, saying that you reside somewhere else. Now there is this conflict between information that you provided to USCIS and to local DMV. I think it's not going to be resolved in your favor, all right, this conflict. So if I were you, I would try to correct the record if you can and obtain the driver's license with the correct address if you can. And I don't know if that's what you would want to do, because I understand you will be worried that you're going to be exposing yourself for something, or perhaps in your state it's simply not possible to obtain the driver's license unless it's Real ID compliant, right? So I do not know what to tell you, but it may be a problem, unfortunately, okay? There is something called Clear Database, and this is just an example of a database that law enforcement is using. If you put person's information into it, even guys your email address, it's going to give the person who is doing the search results, including all the addresses you've ever used in the United States, how you pay your bills, where you rent, and who your neighbors are, and your social media information. Okay? So if they will take your DMV license, run the search, it will be very easy for them to figure out that you're also registered and you're paying the bills or doing something somewhere else. Just keep that in mind, okay? Try to straighten out your records as to best of your abilities, okay? To the best of your abilities, knowing that now they're going to be enforcing the registration requirement for immigrants, where they may potentially criminally punish you for not updating your records correctly. Please make sure to update those records correctly. It's just not worth it in my mind. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you received useful information tonight. If you do, please like and share it. Sign up for my channels. Thank you very much, Mr. Rhythm, for the roses, for your gifts. And stay safe, learn your rights, and I hope to see you soon.